Today, we're going to talk about something that's pretty hard to find nowadays. Flights. Now, what are flights? Well, I'll tell you. Flights were items that were introduced in Yule 2015, and there's 5 different types, but we'll go over them. So we're going to start with the armor kite. Now, I have the best ones of all these kites. So the best one for armor is 100 armor for next 2 minutes. And this one's infinite use. You had to turn in presents in order to get armor kites. Red, blue, and purple. Red were common, blue were kinda rare, and purple were really rare. It was one of those annoying 3-tier rarenesses quests that were pretty popular toward the end of the collection quests. Some of the armor kites only were one-time use only, and I think that was the starter quest to unlock the quest for the infinite ones. I'm not sure, but if you're ever buying an armor kite, please check for infinite uses. If not, you're gonna buy one for a lot of money that's worthless. Now, in action, the kite is used like an item, which is good and bad. It's good because you can cast it every 10 seconds, and also has infinite uses. And with a time of 2 minutes, you could do the math that 120 seconds divided by 10, you could buff 12 people with it, if you wanted to. But it being an item means that you also can't use other items in the meantime, so you have to be careful with your usage. Moving on, health regeneration kite. Gives 50 per ticket, the rarest one, out of combat. Now, it used to be glitched and it used to work in combat, but somebody opened their mouth and they fixed it. Go figure. There's also an energy version of this, which is, 50 energy per tick. And lastly, we have this health kite that gives 15% max health for 2 minutes. Now, we could look at our health. See, it's 3156. And we use that, our maximum health goes up, but our current health doesn't. So you have to remember that it's not going to heal you. And we got 15% more health. But the interesting thing is how it works with buffs. See, we have 3629. Let's try some food out, because that's a buff. 50 maximum health, right? And you see our health, it just went up by 50. The 15% had no effect on it at all. Now let's look at a different food. This one has 10 vit. So let's just cancel out our current food by eating another one. Yeah, let's eat this. So we dropped our health back down. And that one was 10 vit, so it should give us 62.5 health. But as you can see, it gave us more. Now, why did that one work with percentage, but the health one didn't? My theory is because vitality doesn't directly affect health. It's just a stat that increases it. Health is just health. But health on gear works, so why doesn't health on a buff work? Well, maybe they thought that abundance and elixirs would be more OP then? I'm not sure. Can't really answer that. Another thing that's worth noting, let's take this buff off again real quick. we'll use that. Let's let this kite expire. So we have 3156. Now I brought my alt here to show you something about how the percents interact. And yes, percents do stack. So we're at 3629. Use this kite. We're at 4102. Now the percents, they stack, but they don't compound. So you're gonna have 130% health if you stack two 15s. You're not gonna have like 32%. It's just something to note. Now this stacks with just about any health up, but how they interact is different. Maybe another reason for VIT working is that the pets have VIT and they didn't want those to go unused. But you could really take advantage of this, as long as you know what you're doing. I mean, putting anything with health up on is nice to begin with, but it's a pretty nice fact to know that VIT will be better than health. And there's also a max energy equivalent of that too. Now let's test out one more thing while I'm on the topic of it. So we removed our health regen, right? Now let's see if regen works with boosted maximum health. Actually, we could use this right here. So 10 plus 3%. Let's watch our health regen. Okay. Gotta put our flight back on. So we can use these numbers to do the math and see if it actually affects regen speed, because that was a big point of tanks buying it. And as you can see, it does. Now let's talk about how the kites are in general, and my opinions on them. Now personally, I like the armor one, I do. But it may not be useful for high armor classes. It's definitely great for low levels that don't have that much armor, like, you know, like 100, 200. It'll give you a lot more percentage-wise. And also, mages especially, because they don't have that much armor to begin with. Higher up, it'll become less effective, but still useful. Especially when compared to some of the other ones, like the maximum health. Maximum health only increases your, well, max health, and doesn't really do anything beyond that. It's not a form of damage reduction. Armor will do something always. Health will only help you over 100%, if that makes sense. Now regen, when it used to work in combat, it was way more balanced and on par with the other two, but now it's just trash. It's basically just tradable sigils, which is nice on its own, but it doesn't compare. Now the health one, people will pay millions upon millions for these. I paid 10 million myself just to have it, and I don't exactly say it's better than armor, but it definitely has its uses. As you see, you could stack health to the moon with other stuff, and it's especially good for tanks and classes with a lot of health in general. Because of that, the regen stacking is nice too. And another thing you can do with health kites is that if you need health for something, like absolutely need it, like you are at the edge, if you have less health, you die, that kind of stuff. You can use it to gain more health in order to wear stronger gear. Kind of like the Vit Focus Steel with mages and Strength Vit for the other classes. Now you may be wondering why I only have an armor one and health ones. Well, let me tell you something. Energy ones are trash. I had the rarest energy ones, but I sold them. You know why? Well, energy regen is just like sigils, as I said. And usually someone who can afford that kind of stuff can also afford regen in order to fix that. And maximum energy? Well, what's that really doing for you? See, if you run out of health, you die. If you run out of energy, that's just not doing damage. Additionally, energy has set amounts that it reduces by. AKA, if you have a level 50 skill, it's only going to use that amount of energy. It's not going to increase. Now you can increase your consumption rate by, say, increasing the speed at which you cast spells like cooldown gear and items like that. But you usually have a controlled sense of how much energy you lose, and usually an energy elixir will solve all your problems. That's my opinion on it, at least, so I threw them away as fast as possible and I got all the money I could for them. Now another thing about these kites that is really worth mentioning is that they're items, as said, but that means you don't need to use any gear slot in order to use them, making them pretty OP. Well, that's basically my opinion on the whole thing. I think kites are really good. I kind of wonder why they removed them, but I also kind of understand because of how good they were and how they made the game easier without using any slots. I don't know if I'd like to see them come back. I mean, I'm not really worried about losing the money, but I don't really want more pay-to-win things. You have to buy thousands of chests to get the best ones. I just don't think that kind of game plan's right. Because I went to hell and back in order to get these kites. And I don't really want to have to do that again. Well, let me know what you think on this whole thing. And I'll see y'all later.